Hello and welcome to another live update and discussion from Force 13. Today we're discussing the tropical storms that we currently have active in the Pacific, south and north, so to speak, but all in the western half of the Pacific Ocean. Two tropical storms. Those are Tropical Storm Chan-Hom in the western Pacific and Tropical Cyclone Raquel in the southern hemisphere approaching the Solomon Islands. I've been delayed by a few minutes at the start of this show due to thunderstorms, and I've been filming them.
Oh, wow.
This evening we're joined, there's actually something going on in the northeastern skies. We're joined by Daniel, who you heard before you saw, as usual.
Yes. Hello. I can see the lightning directly from south. Well, light lay now. It's quite
Fantastic.
impressive.
We're
Yeah, it's quite impressive.
also joined by Devon.
And his dog.
Wow. That's an interesting look you've got there.
No. I've been kept in the dark the last 5-6 days, so I know absolutely nothing. So whatever BS I spout in the next 45 minutes to an hour or so is a complete guess.
Fantastic. Well, okay, let's take a look at the latest satellite imagery showing, first of all, Chan-Hom. I actually should mention a track forecast before we go any further. So this is what Chan-Hom is expected to do. Currently located in the Western Pacific, of course, north of the Micronesian islands, with winds of 50 miles per hour. That's 50. And is likely to become a typhoon in the next few days. A pretty strong one at that as well, according to JTWC at least. I know that some models predicting stronger storms still, and that's been the case for quite some time actually. But still, it appears that it could be making a close approach to some of those islands in a similar fashion to Dolphin, I suppose, but at a little bit different trajectory.
As far as what I've seen on Tropical Storm Chan-Hom, or however you pronounce it, sorry I'm not fully awake. I took a look at the sea surface temperature it's currently in, 28 degrees. Shear is 14 knots, slightly favorable, and the humidity that it's in is 77%, a little bit less than what you would really want for intensification. So at the point right now, you're probably not going to look for the storm to really blow up. However, as it starts to go to the north and west of the Marianas Islands, a hole in the deep wind shear layer is expected to develop where the storm will probably intensify into a Category 2 or potentially yet another major hurricane in this rather historic 2015 worldwide cyclone season.
So far, at least. But you can see on the map there as well, it sort of backs up what you're saying there, predicting only a minimal typhoon for some time until it passes those islands, and then it starts to really accelerate and take off.
Pretty much the same thing that Dolphin did.
Yeah, let's move on to Raquel as well, which is not far from landfall, apparently. That is actually an old map, isn't it? I don't know whether the new one's out yet. Obviously not. We'll come back to that. And tropical cyclone formation alert issued on Invest 96W near the Philippines. So that's going to be interesting. They predict it to move in a northwesterly direction. Let me try and get the map for Raquel up by any chance. Oh, it appears we have it now. So yes. Predicting movement through the Solomon Islands, just about clipping the edge of the first island there. What is it called? Santa Isabel, I think. And you can see how it's tossed and turned away from what it was expecting last time we were on air yesterday, when it was predicting a landfall near Honiara, the capital, which is located on this island here. But in fact, it's gone completely opposite direction since then, and expected peak wind speeds of 65 miles per hour, and then moving towards the southwest in the direction of Australia. But we don't expect the storm to affect the coast of Queensland.
No. Just a couple of notes I'd like to point out on Raquel. They have been shifting this cone to the west a lot from what I've seen recently. at least from some of the archives I've seen.
It's just the opposite, wasn't it?
Yeah, they keep on shifting this cone further and further to the west, and I think it's worth noting that the strongest storm to ever make landfall in New Guinea was at tropical storm strength. This storm has the potential to jog west and potentially make landfall in New Guinea as a weak tropical storm or a tropical depression.
I mean, the Solomon Islands mustn't have had much of a storm history.
No, I didn't look at the Solomon Islands because I didn't look. Another thing to point out at Raquel, probably the reason why it's developed, is taking a look at the sea surface temperatures in the area, 31 degrees.
Yeah.
Which was...
I don't know if you heard that on my mic, but a real big thunderstorm going on outside my window.
31 degrees Celsius is the water temperature around the Solomon Islands.
So very warm indeed, and I remember looking at the sea surface temperatures last night. We'll show them again later tonight, showing around the world what the tropics are looking like in terms of SSTs. If you've got any questions or comments for us, by the way, please send us a message. You can do that directly right now on the video page. Daniel, what are you laughing at?
Nothing. Sorry.
It's always nothing.
Sure.
It's always.
I was just laughing.
But
I was just laughing at something funny with the live stream yesterday.
Yeah, go on.
Continuing on, wind shear is going to probably be the thing that tears this thing apart. Current wind shear is 26 knots over the system and expected to increase as time goes on.
Oh, wow.
Which basically the 26 knot wind shear completely counteracts the positives gained from 31 degree sea surface temperatures. And the humidity is just about the same as it is with Chan-Hom. Not exactly the most favorable thing to be in, but it's about a push. In fact, to give Raquel, I say its intensification index is about a push. Maybe some slight fluctuations in intensity in the next 6 hours while it's over water. Obviously, when it's over land, it's going to be weakening and blah, 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 blah.
Let's take a look at the shear maps here. There's the West Pacific, first of all. You can see marked by the tropical storm icon is Chan-Hom, and it's in a sort of mixed environment, isn't it? Southeast, it's rather high. To the north, there's a pocket of low wind shear. If the storm follows its track forecast, it's going to be hanging along that periphery for quite some time. And maybe it will abate further towards the northwest near Guam, but you can certainly see a little slither here where wind shear is very low indeed. Around the Invest 96W as well, which has a TCFA on it now. It's marginal again, and probably on the favourable side of that, especially if it moves towards the northwest. Looking at the area around Raquel over the Solomon Islands, you can see how it's on a very slight increase in general, marked by that white line, but it again is fairly moderate. Actually on the high side of moderate there, isn't it, as Devon was saying before, but in its path it's possibly getting slightly better, but I think it's going to stay very much the same, and I don't think we'll be seeing much more intensification from this storm unless it decreases.
I don't see the shear decreasing at this moment. And plus, not only that, I'm pretty sure, I haven't taken a look at the sea surface temperatures except for the immediate area of the storms, but I'm pretty sure that the sea surface temperatures drop off quite a bit south of 10, so we'll have to see about that.
Alrighty then. I'm just distracted by all the thunderstorms going on outside. It is rather
distracting. That would freak me out a little bit.
Did I?
Not a fan of storms.
Yes, is that why you were hiding behind your little friend at the start of the show?
Oh no, no storms here. It's sunny.
No, just because
it's sunny and it's in the 70s.
Just because you were worried about a storm here and the potential that I'll get struck by lightning if I film it.
You're lucky we haven't got any yet.
I was looking for things. I was looking for things to hide behind on the car ride back home last night from Rhode Island.
Right.
Not much to hide behind in a car.
Have you got any comments about the other invests that we have active?
I didn't even know we had other invests active.
Oh,
I only knew that
we
we
do.
had these two systems.
No, take a look at my screen for a moment. I'll show everyone where the other invests are. Those are the two storms. Here's the 94W. Now, that is actually Chan-Hom there. 94W is this little thing here. I wonder whether that they seem to be closer than they were yesterday. I wonder whether 94W will get absorbed there, maybe.
Yeah, looks like it's in the process of getting absorbed.
All right, and 96, that's looking pretty good now. That could be our next storm.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a tropical storm form out of that. Hurricane we'll have to see, but tropical storm, that's very probable there.
And looking also at Invest 97W, which we might have daylight for. Yes, we have visible here, I think. 97, this one's located furthest east. That's near the Marshall Islands at 176.3 degrees east.
Now this is where you say halt and call me an idiot, but isn't there also an invest in the East Pacific?
Not an invest as such, but it is an area of interest which has been marked by the National Hurricane Center. Thanks for picking up on that because I forgot. It is the reason why it's probably not an invest is because it still says near 0% chance in the next 48 hours, but 40% in the next 5 days, which is interesting.
And that's pretty close to the Central Pacific, so we might be seeing our first Central Pacific system.
Wow. I'm not
of
sure
the
what
year.
exactly it's looking at there, but you can see all this. It's like quite a large complex of thunderstorms there, isn't it?
Very large tropical wave, or trough, or whatever that would be.
Yeah, I don't think it could be classed as a single tropical wave, and if it is, it's a monster.
One thing, if you keep it on that graphic there, one thing that jumps out to me is that there's an extremely large and dry low pressure system off to the north of the trough of thunderstorms there. I mean, I know it's not necessarily associated with any tropical development, but that just caught my eye. There's this really dry low pressure area off the coast, south and west off the coast of Los Angeles.
Around here, is this it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably what's bringing thunderstorms into Death Valley.
Ah, yeah,
But
you can see the cloudiness.
The center itself appears to be very dry, which is interesting.
Okay, well that's the specific. We might take another look at that a little bit later on if anything changes, especially. I mean, I'm not sure whether Solomon Islands warnings say anything in particular, but I'm keeping my eyes on those. Just that a tropical cyclone warning is current for all Solomon Islands provinces, but we expect that I don't know whether they'd say northern or westernmost, whichever it is, the furthest up along the chain there will be the most affected. The capital, Honiara, and places further southeast will probably not see much from the storm, but just in case, be on your guard, certainly for heavy rain.
Now, with Raquel here, are you going to have to redo your South Pacific animation?
Ah! Now, it's quite funny how this has happened, because I've never actually made the South Pacific animation yet.
Oh.
I made the Australian region, but I didn't actually do the South Pacific, so I'm actually quite pleased about that.
Okay. Just to throw some more things, unofficial things out there. Just taking a look at the Dvorak numbers right now. According to University of Wisconsin, obviously, and they've done a marginal job at best so far this season, so take these numbers with a grain of salt, please.
Okay. You're talking about the current storms, right?
Yes. This is for Raquel.
Let me get some solar.
Its current CI is 2.9, which equates to 43 knots, which, let me get that into miles per hour, if anybody cares, which would be 50 miles per hour, and a pressure
heard
of
that one.
1,005 millibars. There's no weakening flags or rapid dissipation flags up, but they probably will be going up in the next 24 hours or so. As far as the other storm in the Pacific, of which I forgot its name.
What, Chan-Hom?
Thank you.
Yes.
Whatever that storm is, it has a CI number actually above what the T numbers are, and is actually showing a weakening flag on it right now.
How interesting.
Its current official CI number is 3.5, which
Yes.
puts it as a 63 miles per hour. So let's just round that to 65 miles per hour, and a pressure of 995 millibars.
Yeah, the wind shear there, that might possibly equate to a little bit of weakening in the short term, and then some intensification. I think.
Wind shear.
Go on.
Wind shear. Raquel's not looking good with the wind shear at all. And Chan-Hom, I hope that's what the name is. Definitely in a lot less wind shear. In a much better position, but the clouds are still noticeably displaced off the center.
Alrighty then. I'm just going to leave the audience with a few images for a moment. I don't know whether Devon might want to talk about those for a while.
I'll try to explain them best.
Beginning to appear over Raquel. Just let us know which one.
Okay. Which storm is this? This would be Chan-Hom?
Yes, it's Chan-Hom right there.
One of the things I noticed about Chan-Hom is that there was, when I was taking a look at the visible, that there was a big blow-up of thunderstorms right in the middle of the CDO. Now, that's not necessarily where the center is, but there was a rather big blow-up of thunderstorms, tall thunderstorms, in the middle of the CDO, which is usually a sign of strengthening. Usually a sign of strengthening. You can't necessarily tell that out every time. As far as the storm itself, the outflow is looking pretty good. The circulation itself is rather healthy, so I don't really see it dissipating off in this more unfavorable atmosphere. But once its center is able to get itself back over the CDO, it should be able to regain some momentum and potentially get up into a hurricane maybe in the next 12, 24 hours. But that's if the center gets there. And now we're taking a look at Tropical Cyclone Raquel, rather. And you can really see that its center is displaced. The CDO is definitely displaced off the center. And I'm a little hesitant to say this, but I want to say that that looks like appears to be the exposed center off to the north and east of the Solomon Islands.
It's certainly what I was thinking.
So potentially the storm is really stationary at the moment and really getting affected by strong northeasterly wind shear, I think that would be.
It's not moving particularly quickly, and the JTWC map still shows the storm off to the north of that island, but the actual the rainfall and the thunderstorms and all that is well over those islands, far off to
the yeah. It's obviously, I'm not saying that like the landfall's the issue here. Obviously, the rain, the thunderstorms associated with the stationary storm is always the threat, not the landfall itself. But it does appear to be that the shear is really starting to get to the storm.
Sheer amount of shear.
And you can also see something that's also really associated with sheared storms, and you can see the CDO pulsing in the radar satellite images as well.
So Oh, you mean that little bit towards the end of the nighttime imagery there, where it just
Yes.
blew up a little
Nope,
bit?
right at the beginning it pulses up, then dissipates and pulses up again. It's quite common with sheared storms like that.
Okay, excellent. What else were we looking at? Well, there's just those two storms, really. Of course, we've got several other invests active. No warnings in effect for Chan-Hom, though that may come in future. Obviously, the storm is not too far from the Micronesian islands. You can see Chuck down there in the pink outline towards the bottom of your screen. Pohnpei further towards the east as well. And the storm itself, just the outer edge of it, sort of making its presence known on Chuck, but probably not really causing any problems there. And I don't know how far Guam is off the edge of the screen, but I don't think it's too far to the left-hand side. I was still very occupied by filming lightning because there's a lot of it here and it's a rare event.
I know it's a pretty rare event for you guys, but we get it here every week, so thinking to myself, what are you talking? Why are you going out there filming lightning? It's just so common here. And he's gone. Okay. I have absolutely nothing up on my computer, so let's get some things up and try to carry us through here. Okay, we've already taken a look at Raquel Chan-Hom. It was 96W, that's close to the Philippines.
Oh, my microphone doesn't appear to cooperate anymore, but I think I'm actually back on it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just going to ask you a question about whether there's any difference between because last year when I was filming, the lightning appeared to be sort of a pinkish color, and I just saw some brilliant white ones this time. Is there any difference? Is there any properties that change and determine the color that you see?
I'm not 100% sure about that. Probably depends on how much it's raining at the time, how heavy it's raining.
Well, it was actually no rain when I saw one of them. It wasn't right over me, but it was not far away.
Right. It kind of depends on how hard it's raining, how much the light actually has to get through in order to get to you.
Yeah. Well,
every single white raindrop that it passes through, the light's going to scatter, and whatever wavelengths end up getting to your eye, probably the longer ones, is what ends up getting to you.
Scientific answer.
The red.
All right, well, let's explain what we're looking at right now. This is the Invest 96W, which could well become a tropical cyclone soon. It's looking good, isn't it?
I would probably say in the next 12 hours, this might be at least considered to be a tropical depression. Knowing the JMA, they'll probably name it in about 4 days.
Hey, actually, they were the first to name Chan-Hom, so not that bad. I'd just like to also point out a question from Martinez Julian saying, can anyone do the forecast for the 4th of July? It's a bit broad area to do a forecast. What do you want?
If you can tell me where, I'll try to get something together for you for forecast of the 4th of July.
Well, I believe that person
for a nationwide forecast, you're going to get a very simple forecast from me.
Well, I believe that person in particular is in Texas somewhere.
Texas.
That might help narrow it down. If that person doesn't live in Texas and I got it wrong, then anyone else watching from Texas can get a forecast.
If you can tell me a specific region that you want a forecast of, I'll try to get it to you. If not, you can just look at it yourself at weather.gov.
Yeah.
It's a nice little website that you can go to. You just click on where you live, and it'll give you a forecast.
Well, let me just pull up a forecast for Houston at least, showing highs in the 90s most days. I guess that's pretty normal, right?
Yeah, that would be pretty normal for Houston.
Um,
Maybe a little bit above average.
yeah, so Independence Day there. Saturday. That's nice. 30% chance of thunderstorms, a high of 91 calling for there. Mostly cloudy on Saturday night, a low of 78. So now you see these percentage things. Are they usually right?
Okay, here's how you interpret rain percentage, okay?
Here comes another lesson from Devon.
20% chance means it's probably not going to rain.
Okay, good.
30% chance means there's the possibility of thunderstorms isolated in nature. You should look out for them. 40% chance of rain means more than likely you're going to be hit by something. 50% chance and up means you're going to get hit by something.
Well, why wouldn't they just put 100?
But that's my guide to interpreting the National Weather Service's forecasts. 30% chance, start worrying. 40% chance, it's probably going to rain. 50% chance and up, it's going to rain.
You might as well just say 50% chance all the time, so you can't really be wrong. All right. Let me actually take a look at some models. I just put it back to your screen for a moment whilst I can try and get some models up. No, don't look at mine.
Well, I'm still on an image of 96W.
Yeah, take a look at some of those other invests. That's a good idea.
Okay, so let's take a look at 94W, which I think is this one to the south and west of Chan-Hom, which is, I would say, pretty much absorbed at this point. Well, not absorbed yet, but it's getting there. So we're going to scratch 94W off as non-existent.
Well, when you've got 5 storms in one part of the ocean, in effect, surely one of them isn't going to get anywhere. But the other 3, well, the other 4, if you include Raquel, looks promising for at least a little time. But there's 97W.
Let me get a latitude, longitude on this. I have no idea where this is.
176 east.
Okay, so we're just to the west of the international date line, in between 5 and 10 on the equator. So right now, convection's not looking great. Rotation's not looking great. How broad the storm is probably going to be an issue for a while.
All right, well, go on.
If the storm's able to potentially condense itself and head off a little bit to the north and west, it might be able to develop into something, but that's my unprofessional guess.
All right, let's take a look at the models then. The GFS, first of all. This is one of the model runs. You can see all 4 systems there quite nicely. So let's progress along the loop. You can see that absorption completing itself into Chan-Hom there. There's a lot to watch on here, so I'll go through it pretty slowly. Pretty much following a JTWC's track with Chan-Hom, and then quite an abrupt turn towards the north. 96W doesn't appear to become much, at least initially, and then Chan-Hom deepens significantly after passing through those islands, and what's left of 96W might also get absorbed by that, and it looks like a peak possibly on this frame here. What do you reckon on that intensity there?
I can't tell. We're going to say potentially potentially a powerful Category 3 to Category 4 system, and maintaining its intensity all the way to, I don't know what island chain that is.
The Ryukyu Islands. It's one for Korea.
Okay, that's what I thought that was. Didn't know how to pronounce it.
Looks like a transitioning tropical storm upon landfall in South Korea there. Just want to go back and see if we can track. Yes, we can. The other invest that we were just looking at before, 97W, lingers in Chan-Hom's shadow for quite a long time. And when Chan-Hom's done and 97W is over the Ogasawara Islands, might have a little shot of developing into something before turning off towards the northeast. Seem to have split up there as well. But that's what we're looking at there. The CMC then. Again, an absorption for Chan-Hom.
Cowbell.
And then...
oh, yeah. How about this? 2 major hurricanes.
Yes, 2 major typhoons.
Who didn't expect that happening on the CMC model?
Look at this. It's insane.
Yes. Yes.
Well, quite...
yes.
Probably 2 Category 5s there, and its little companion.
Yeah, I wouldn't say on the left is a Cat 5. On the right would... something.
Wow. Well, if that happens, then gee whiz.
Go back forward if you can. If you could go forward even further.
I reached the end of the loop there on that.
Oh, I was about to say, if that keeps on going, that's coming pretty close to Tokyo there.
Oh,
that would not be a good day for Tokyo.
I was looking more at Taiwan, actually. Taipei, the capital in the northern part of the country there, very close to the center of that storm. But I was also...
I'm talking about the eastern storm.
Yes, I know. I was talking about the western storm. But also looking at maybe a disturbance on the coast of India as well there, maybe.
Meh.
Don't know.
Meh.
Devon's not.
Meh.
You can just about make out Raquel as well. Not really doing too much, but I think it's still holding its own through Papua New Guinea there. And wherever it goes beyond. But an interesting scenario in the next few days. Let's see if any of the models are picking up on this Eastern Pacific disturbance. CMC once more, first of all. If any model's going to develop.
Yeah, if any model's going to pick it up, it's going to be the CMC.
Yes, actually 3.
Yes.
3 in a row. 4 now.
I think the more interesting thing is the storm up in Great Britain.
Well, yes.
A small storm developing out of it to the south and east of Hawaii that might brush it as a weak tropical depression.
Yeah,
other than that, what the hell is that close to Mexico?
Indeed. GFS as well, let's have a look. I've not looked at any of these yet, so we'll see what it say. It's still saying something there. That's disturbance still. Oh.
Something.
Yeah, it stays a weak disturbance the whole time, I think. Going backwards. So I don't think anything really to get excited about. Atlantic, as you like to describe it, a graveyard.
Yeah, 2 potentially very strong systems heading up towards the UK. Maybe even a 3rd one right on its heels.
Good lord.
There's 3 of them there. 1 over Scandinavia, 1 to the south and west of Britain, and 1 just off the coast of Nova Scotia.
If you're interested in UK weather, this is what we've just had looking at the radar. That's actually a bit out of date, but we had some big thunderstorms earlier. Looking at our weather radar in my particular area, you can see how the white areas signaling over 32 millimeters of rainfall per hour. That's the edge of their scale. I don't know how that compares to other scales, but there you go. But yes, it's been a very hot day here.
Okay, I would like to report something right now.
Oh, go ahead.
The National Weather Service would like to confirm another tornado touchdown in Northumberland County in Pennsylvania, which is pretty much, I would say, 30 miles to the southeast of Cumming College, which is the college I go to.
When was this? Recent?
Yeah, would have been with the storm complex yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, I see. Right now, looking at the National Weather Service map, you can see only a small area of severe thunderstorm watches and maybe the odd warning.
Okay.
in the east.
If you can go up into the top left and type in Walla Walla, Washington, I want to see what the temperature is there, because there's some heat advisories over there.
Now, I was looking at Pascal there as well, which is one of the warmest places. Walla Walla, was it?
Yes.
Is that how you
It would
spell
be
it?
W-A, comma W-A.
Oh, sorry. Did I just erase it then?
Yeah.
Oh, for goodness sake.
What the?
It did it automatically. Right.
Very nice.
It's a bit slow, isn't it?
There you go. So in southeastern Washington, we're looking at highs well into the triple digits. So I can definitely see why they have heat advisories out there.
Yes, but staying in the high 90s as well. It just surprises me because, I mean, it clearly it must be. I mean, it's probably on the hot end of normal, but still not too abnormal. But when I think of Washington, I think of coolish, a bit like here.
Not inland Washington.
Right.
I would like to say that the tornado in Riverside, Pennsylvania, I think it is, was an EF1 tornado with winds potentially exceeding 100 miles per hour.
Insanity.
So we had a very tiny Category 2 hurricane equivalent coming through Pennsylvania.
Oh, fantastic. Let me see if I can get some other views on these storms.
Of course, this is also via WNEP, and every single meteorologist there is a complete punt.
Excellent. Here's some other views of the two storms. Raquel, first of all. And you know, if in that last frame, it sort of looks like the center of the storm is south of that island, but don't be fooled. We can quite clearly see on the visible that the center appears to be to the north. Looking at Chan-Hom. Now, tell me what's going on near the center of that storm there, Devin. This little feature.
Like I was saying before, the last images that I was seeing, there was a very big blow up of tall thunderstorms near the center, which you can see in the couple of frames beforehand. Usually that is a sign of intensification.
That's what I thought yesterday when I was talking about it with Jason.
Well, it intensified a little bit from yesterday. It was at, what, 45 knots yesterday? Now it's 55 knots.
Yeah,
I didn't say rapid intensification. I just said intensification.
No, you didn't say anything. You weren't here.
I mean, right now.
Yes, yes.
I'm just saying it's a sign of intensification.
A sign of life.
No, the sign of life is water, but...
Yes. Okay, fair enough. Fine.
Fine.
Well, we're near the end of the hour already, even though we did start 15 minutes late. We'll stay on air a little bit longer than the allotted time slot. We're not a television channel. We've got no restraints. We can stay on as long as we like if we wanted to.
Yep,
but
this is not NBC, folks. We can stay on all night.
Not that we will. I don't know where Daniel went, by the way. He was providing.
Oh, he took off.
Well, he was actually filming some storms, wasn't he?
Yeah, he took off because the storms were getting bad in his area.
Indeed. All right, then. Is there anything else that we've not seen yet that we could have a look at with the models? We've not looked at any water vapor imagery yet, which might shed some light on things, perhaps. But actually, I'd like to go to the NHC satellite imagery where you can see the whole West Pacific region and you can see all the storms there.
Okay. I'll be doing the same thing and pulling up a water vapor of the Atlantic.
Ah.
Not expecting to find much.
No, here's the West Pacific. Is it a loop or is it just an image? It's just an image. I was hoping it would have a loop of that. I'm sure one exists somewhere. But here's the latest image in the Western Pacific. You can also see, Devon, a curious, I spoke about this yesterday on yesterday's show as well, a curious little feature in the South China Sea as well. Do you think that might become anything or no?
It's just a curved band. It doesn't even look like there's any rotation associated with it.
All right, then. And the models, I mean, we saw the two models before, CMC and GFS. Can't remember which one did which. I think of course, CMC was
The CMC created 2 Category 5 hurricanes.
GFS was...
The GFS made into a Category 4 hurricane, probably, and made the other storm into not much.
I wonder whether it was it was on about 96 W dissipating, really, and when you look at all that dry air in the vicinity to the north, you can perhaps see that.
Yeah, dry air. Probably going to be an issue, but there is also a trough approaching from the west, a rather decent trough approaching from the west, which could get rid of some of that dry air.
And where does that dry air actually go? Does it just become wet or what?
Well, there's, at least from what I know, I don't think there's any conservation of humidity.
Right.
But from what I understand here is that the dry air mass gets pushed out and it gets replaced with the wet air mass. Meanwhile, the dry air mass gets weaker and the wet air mass gets stronger. And then when they collide, the wet air mass is going to be less dense than the dry air mass, so it's going to win.
But what I'm saying, does the dry air just become wet, or does the dry air...
No, the dry air remains its own air mass. The dry air is the air mass. The wet air is an air mass.
But you say it becomes weaker.
They're just moving pockets of air around the world.
Does it move on a horizontal basis, or does it rise and sink?
Both.
Okay.
Probably both.
Interesting. Anyway, before we got off topic, it really isn't much of 94W. To be quite honest, it looks like a bit of an outshoot from Chan-Hom, doesn't it now?
Yeah, we're gonna say that 94W is absorbed.
Yeah, gone.
Well, then again, I keep on reminding myself back in 2012 when the NHC took forever to say that Michael was absorbed by Leslie.
Right.
So
I do remember a little bit of a ruckus with that. I can't quite remember exactly what, but there you are. Devon's got the better memory here amongst us.
No, I don't.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I know.
When it comes to Atlantic storms, perhaps.
No.
Come on, Devon. We've pegged you down as our Atlantic expert here. Don't let us down.
I'm not trying to let you down. I'm just trying to be modest here.
Okay. I'll let you be modest. Do you have your Atlantic map at hand?
Yes, I actually just end up closing it to bring up an East Pacific map. Because I wanted to take a look at the really dry low.
Well, you take a look at the East Pacific then, if you've got it. I'll go to the Atlantic. How about that?
No, I got both of them up.
Oh, okay.
It's not that big of a hassle.
Fine.
Okay, so tell me what you're able to see right now. And
a black screen at the moment. Oh, here we are. Now you're on our Hangout. And here we are.
Okay, this is what the East Pacific looks like. And a rather large series of tropical waves, I'm going to call that.
I mean, look at that. It's a huge line extending. It must be over 1,000 miles.
Yeah, that's definitely what you call the intertropical convergence zone. That's exactly what that thing is called.
Do you think this might be enhanced by El Nino or anything to do with that?
Everything gets enhanced by El Nino.
Well, yes.
The Southern Oscillation changes just about everything. Whether if it's an El Nino or a La Nina season.
Okay.
I mean, it could be like 1992 when we had a South Pacific storm within 7 degrees of the equator become a major hurricane in January.
It does have that feel about it. Of course, we're not in January anymore, but the storm totals that we've had this year are comparable to 1992. It was a worldwide record breaker. The sort of storms we're having, a few strong ones, Pacific activity early on, quite a bit of that. They'll I don't know whether the West Pacific might end up being a bit more like 1997, which had a record.
Yeah. Well,
and
I don't know. How many seasons have we had where we've had 3 Southern Hemisphere Category 5 hurricanes in the same year?
Wow, I'll have to do
And
some.
I don't think that's happened very often, if at all, because I know Category 5 hurricanes in the Southern Hemisphere are extremely rare. Unless I'm an idiot.
I'm going to do some digging on that one, Devon. I'll get back to you.
But anyways, again, pointing off to the north and east here, there's that extremely dry low that I was talking about. Just look at all the dry air that's being circulated into it and all the moisture that's being pulled up the coast. I'll hold on for a second here.
To the Atlantic now, are we? Oh, Devon's muted himself for a while. I'm just looking up. I don't. My preliminary findings is that I don't think we have ever had a situation where there have been 3 Category 5 storms in the Southern Hemisphere in one season, or indeed in one calendar year. We've already seen 6 Category 5 storms so far, which is well ahead of any other season I've known.
Alrighty. Well, let's take a look at the Atlantic. Let's take a look at the Atlantic wind shear water vapor map, where I would like to just giggle at it. Because there is nothing
special at all.
No. So since there's absolutely nothing going on in the Atlantic,
I mean, if
must be a pretty active season.
If we're being really desperate, we might point out that tiny little system near the bottom of the screen, bottom right.
There's actually a dry low right around where my cursor is located. I think that's more reasonable to point out at the moment. There's also this broad circulation here as well. That's worth pointing out, but nothing tropical.
I think those thunderstorms developing over Florida have a bigger chance of becoming a tropical storm than anything else in the Atlantic.
Okay. Now let's take a look at the joke of the day.
Oh, here we are.
Not as bad as I was expecting it.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Look at what happens when you don't look at the wind shear map in 2.5 weeks. So there's
looking so grand.
Yeah, there's a huge hole in the wind shear over Mexico. I don't think that's going to help. Another huge hole over Florida with some moderate wind shear elsewhere. And a rather deep hole here over in the deep eastern Atlantic, but not many storms form out there in July. Elsewhere, no.
Very good. Okay, anything that I could be looking at right now? Just
how about comments?
Just there aren't any new comments. Just a little bulletin from Guam saying how Chan-Hom is continuing west towards the Marianas. May as well read this out. As of 9 o'clock UTC, located near 11.2 degrees north, 153.8 east, moving westward at 12 miles per hour, expected to continue westward through Friday with a slight increase in forward speed before slowing down just southeast of the Marianas. Maximum sustained winds remain at 50 miles per hour, according to that. Tropical storm winds extending outwards up to 60 miles from the center, expected to slowly intensify over the next several days, and we'll probably be seeing warnings coming out before too long for the Mariana Islands. Let me see if you've not seen the track maps yet. Let me show you them again. That's Raquel. We'll go on to that in a moment. But for Chan-Hom, you can see it's entering 2-day range in around 24 hours. So we'll probably see the first watches go into effect for Guam in around a day, or maybe the back end of day 1. Looking at Raquel, very close to making a landfall for the first time. Cyclone 25P. Very interesting one as well. and that's likely to move through those islands and then move towards the southwest and possibly make a landfall on one of the islands of Papua New Guinea before weakening and dissipating. Any final comments from you, Devon?
No.
Excellent. I can finish the show early then.
Finish it up, buddy.
All right, fine. I'll do it.
Hurry up. Chop, chop. Come on, let's finish the show up. Come on, hurry up. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Get on with it.
Yes. We're only waiting on you. Come on, hurry up.
This was Force 13's live update on Cyclone Raquel and Tropical Storm Chan-Hom. More updates throughout the night on our social media pages. You can search Force 13, all in text, on Facebook and Twitter, where we have updates at most times. And we'll, of course, be doing more video updates as and when, possibly 2 tomorrow, because things are, well, we've got a landfall event in progress, I suppose, with Raquel. But until our next show, that's all from myself, Nathan Foy, and that's all from Devon. We'll see you again.
The only other thing I'd like to say is that I haven't been able to post anything on my channel lately. 2 weeks ago, my great-grandmother ended up passing away, and I had to deal with all the stuff associated with that. And just this past Monday, I was up in New England, out on the Cape, so I was in no position to making any videos out there.
Well, we certainly don't judge you for that, Devon. Sorry to hear about that, by the way. And I, you know, of course, you're by no means obliged to be on our shows or anything like that.
Yep. I'm just pointing that out there. If anybody's watching this or say, "Oh, I recognize that face. Why haven't you posted anything?"
Yes, of course.
I just like to answer some misconceptions.
I'm sure they'll all understand, and I don't think they even accuse you of being absent or anything like that. But hey, that's all from us. We'll see you again soon. Have a good evening.